NASCAR today presenting the Budweiser 500 from Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware. Well, they call this racetrack the Monster Mile. It has a very interesting reputation. It, of course, is 1 mile in length. The pole time was 24.933 seconds. The speed 144.387, not a new record. Banking here between 9 and 24 degrees. The turns are at 24, the straightaways at 9. The race length is 500 laps, and they'll be able to go 90 to 95 laps on a tank full of fuel. 35 cars, as we indicated, are here and ready to take the green flag, and here now is the starting lineup for today's event. On the pole with his fourth of the 1989 season is Mark Martin from Batesville, Arkansas, driving the number 6 Strollite Ford, his speed 144.3. Next, Dale Earnhardt in the number 3 GM Goodwrench Chevrolet. He's from Kannapolis, North Carolina. Going to row number 2, it's Rusty Wallace in the number 27 Kodiak Pontiac. Rusty's from St. Louis, Missouri. Outside of row number 2 will be Morgan Shepherd from Conover, North Carolina. He drives the number 75 Valvoline Pontiac. In row number 3, it's Ken Schrader from Fenton, Missouri in the Folgers Coffee Chevrolet, car number 25. And on the outside of that third row, in car number 4, the Kodak Film Oldsmobile from Bartow, Florida, Rick Wilson, who won yesterday in Busch Grand National. Ricky Rudd starts in 7th position in the number 26 Quaker State Buick. Ricky's from Chesapeake, Virginia. And then on the outside of the 4th row, it's Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia in the Coors Melling Ford, car number 9. In the 5th row, Brett Bodine from Chemung, New York in the number 15 Motorcraft Ford. And alongside will be his brother, Jeff Bodine, also from Chemung, New York. He drives the number 5 Levi Garrett Chevrolet. Starting in 11th position is Larry Pearson in the number 16 Chattanooga Chew Buick. Larry hails from Spartanburg, South Carolina. And then starting in 12th position, the number 17 Tide Chevy Lumina, driven by Franklin, Tennessee's Darrell Waltrip. In row number 7, it's Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina in the Skoal Bandit Oldsmobile, car number 33. And then in 14th position, from Hickory, North Carolina, Dale Jarrett in the number 29 Hardee's Pontiac. In the 8th row, it's Terry Labonte from Corpus Christi, Texas, the Budweiser Ford, car number 11. And starting in 16th position, outside of row 8, Michael Waltrip from Owensboro, Kentucky, in the Country Time Pontiac, car number 30. In the 9th row, it's Alan Kulwicki and Dick Trickle. Row number 10, Lake Speed and Jimmy Spencer in his very first Winston Cup race. He's replacing the Greg Sachs individual because he was released by the Buddy Baker team earlier this week. And we see now the rest of the starting lineup as the cars are still aligned on pit road. In just a few moments, they'll be given the signal to start engines, and we will be underway with this 500-mile race. A couple of other drivers that are making their very first start in Winston Cup competition: Bill Flowers in car number 49 and Norm Benning in car number 99. So that is the starting lineup for today's race, as it's a very warm and humid day here at Dover, Delaware. It has been all week. Well, there are some of the drivers that are getting ready to go. There's our pole sitter, Mark Martin, who will be driving the Strollite Ford from the pole position.
You can see the concentration that he's already started, Bob.
He really feels, though, that this is his day. The car has been running so well throughout the weekend, and he feels that today is his day to win his very first Winston Cup event. We have 3 in-car cameras for you this afternoon. One will be carried by Ricky Rudd in the Quaker State Buick. And Harry Gant will also carry one in the Skoal Bandit. There's Harry as he moves out onto the racetrack.
You notice Harry doesn't have any gloves on. We talked about this earlier, but I've talked to him about it. He just feels like he gets a better feel with no gloves.
And the third in-car camera will be carried by Michael Waltrip. And apparently we're having a little bit of transmission problem from that car, but should we get it working, we'll also see how the race looks from the vantage point of Michael Waltrip. There's Ken Schrader in car number 25, who has an excellent starting position, 5, but Jerry Punch, there might be a problem with that car.
Well, not with the car, Bob, as much as the driver. You know, the heat will play a factor all afternoon to these drivers, many of which are wearing cool suits today here and expected to be somewhere in the low 90s, probably well over 105 or 110 degrees inside the race car. Now, Kenny Schrader has been fighting an intestinal virus all week, an intestinal flu. A lot of the drivers in the garage here are kidding him. He's having sympathetic morning sickness because his wife Annie just announced a couple of weeks ago that they are expecting. But he has been really weak and sort of wimpy, as they said, around the garage area, trying to get enough fluids in him, enough Gatorade on board to make it all afternoon. So we'll keep an eye on Kenny Schrader and see if he can tolerate 4.5 hours here at the Monster Mile. Bob?
Schrader, of course, participated in yesterday's Busch Grand National race and survived that. Let's hope that he does so here this afternoon. Now here is Darrell Waltrip in car number 17, and I guess if you really look at somebody who you would have to call the hottest driver in the Winston Cup Series at the moment, it would be Darrell after that outstanding race last weekend at Charlotte.
Well, he has 4 victories so far on the Winston Cup circuit and has won far more money than anybody else on the circuit this year.
But as a dancer, he stinks. Did you see that deal in victory lane?
Yeah, the shuffle. Yeah, just like he did at Daytona. There's Rick Wilson in car number 4, who also has big hopes going into this event. He pulled off the victory yesterday at the Busch Grand National race here at Dover. He'll start today's race in the 6th position outside of row number 3.
And that team has very high hopes. I talked to some of them down in the garage area this morning, and they're expecting big things today because he has been one of the fastest cars in practice.
We're almost ready.
The pace car pulls off of the racetrack, and 35 cars now get set for 500 miles of racing here at Dover. Green flag is out. Martin has the lead as they go down the backstretch with Dale Earnhardt in second and Rusty Wallace in third spot. Then comes Morgan Shepherd, Ken Schrader, and Rick Wilson. Here comes Mark Martin off of corner number 4. Earnhardt may challenge on the inside. Who'll lead lap number 1? It's going to be Martin by a nose.
You sure? It looked like Earnhardt to me.
He's got the lead now in any case going into turn 1 as Mark Martin's car slides high on the racetrack and he loses 1-2 positions. Is about to lose number 3 as Morgan Shepherd in car 75 pulls alongside. But here's Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace, first and second position. That's Martin on the high side of the racetrack. Here comes Morgan Shepherd, and now Ken Schrader, the number 25 red car, pulling alongside Mark Martin.
We talked about yesterday afternoon in the Budweiser 200. The bottom of the racetrack is the place that you have to be. Mark Martin, unless he can get down in a hurry, he's going back to about 20th.
Yeah, that outside groove will slow you down about a half a second a lap, and that's not the place to be. Now, Rusty Wallace trying to get down on the inside. Couldn't quite make it that time.
Made a bid going into the third corner off the backstretch, but could not get the job done, and he falls in behind Dale Earnhardt now as they head for turn 1 once again. And Wallace looks to the inside, does not make an attempt to pass, however, as Morgan Shepherd is closely following Rusty Wallace in third position. They're down the backstretch once again in single file formation.
Martin was able to get back in. He's landed 5th, so he was lucky he didn't get further back than that.
Dale Earnhardt in number 3, GM Goodrich Chevrolet, leads the Kodiak Pontiac driven by Rusty Wallace. Playing it rather conservative at the moment as they're pretty much in single file formation with no major battles developing at the moment.
They got one problem. There's 495 laps to go. It's time to be conservative. If you're ever going to be in a race, it's time. Wallace's car is sticking right on the bottom of the racetrack, able to put the left front tire on the white line.
Continuing to pursue Earnhardt as they complete lap number 6, but here is lap number 1 and how our cameras caught the leader. Who was it? I think of Martin. I think Martin had
I'll give it to you. I thought it was Earnhardt, but I'll give it to you.
It was close.
It was definitely close. Now Earnhardt with about a 2-car length lead on Rusty Wallace. Following there in third position is Morgan Shepherd.
Shepherd had an awfully good run going last Sunday in the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte. He had started back in the pack, but he worked his way up to third position and had an engine problem, but he was very strong and has been strong here in practice.
About the first 6 cars are running fairly close together, then a bit of a separation back to 7th place. That's held by Ricky Rudd at the moment. The first 3, however, Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, and Morgan Shepherd. Back at Dover, where the race continues, and here's Rusty Wallace making a bid for the lead, coming off corner number 4. Look at the tire smoke coming from the Pontiac of Rusty Wallace. He made a bid on the inside, but could not pull off the pass, and so Dale Earnhardt continues to be our leader. Now, we've had some action on pit road while we were away. The number 15 car, driven by Brett Bodine, has been in for a pit stop, and at the moment, Alan Kulwicki is on pit road, also receiving some service from his crew.
And they look like they're going to push his car into the garage area, Bob. So Alan Kulwicki having problems early here in the race that would certainly looks like kill any chance he would have of winning this Budweiser battle.
That is indeed the situation as the crew pushes Alan Kulwicki's car into the garage area. So we'll continue to watch that situation and see if Alan can get back into the race. Meanwhile, up front, still a good battle between Earnhardt and Wallace.
And right behind Rusty Wallace, we'll see him in just a moment. There he is. Ken Schrader has gotten by. He's up to 3rd spot and closing in on Wallace.
And Morgan Shepherd has dropped all the way back to 5th position. 4th behind the 25 of Ken Schrader is Mark Martin, who seems to have found the pace once again.
Yes, Mark got on the high side there on the start and got behind a little bit, but now that he's gotten back in the low groove, you can see him sticking. That's Earnhardt coming off the turn. You see Mark Martin 4th in line there, staying down on the inside of the track, and that is working to his advantage now.
All right, let's go down to Jerry Punch, who can fill us in on what the problem might be with Alan Kulwicki's machine.
Well, Alan's standing here with the car. Alan, what happened with the car? What's wrong?
Well, the drive mandrel broke on the oil pump drive on the mandrel. The bolt broke.
So no oil pressure at all. You're going to try to fix it and get back out?
We're going to try.
Alan Kulwicki, a tough break here early on at Dover, Delaware.
So Alan Kulwicki is in the garage area for repairs. Kulwicki comes into this race 4th in points and was the lap leader at Charlotte in the World 600 last weekend. Now the number 4 car, Rick Wilson, begins to challenge the 75 of Morgan Shepherd for 5th position.
And that's another young man who has been running extremely well up here at Dover. He's alongside Morgan coming off the corner, trying to take the spot away. Side by side down the front straightaway in turn 1.
Now Wilson will gain the spot, and here comes Ricky Rudd in the Quaker State Buick, also passing Morgan Shepherd.
And Bill Elliott right behind Morgan Shepherd. He's going to be trying to take that spot away.
This is 5th and 6th position here. Rick Wilson and Ricky Rudd, then following behind them is Morgan Shepherd and Bill Elliott. And there is Elliott as he makes the pass on the 75 car of Morgan Shepherd. So Shepherd is going backwards here.
Yeah, that car looks strong at the first of the race, but I don't know if he's a little bit loose now or what the problem is. Another car that's coming up through the back pretty good is Neil Bonnet. He was 2nd round fastest qualifier. And the Citgo Ford number 21 started 21st, and he has now moved up to the 14th position.
And there once again, the first 3, Earnhardt, Rusty Wallace, and the 25 car of Ken Schrader. And it appears as if Schrader is closing in now, reeling in the 27 of Rusty Wallace. We're noticing a considerable amount of tire smoke, at least from some of the cars in the 4th turn there. Some coming from both Wallace and Earnhardt. Is that normal here at Dover?
Yeah, that's something you see all the time, particularly coming off of turn 4. Sometimes you'll see it coming off of turn 2, but when they throw that 600 horsepower plus to the wheels as they come off of that turn, it's a little slick coming off there, and they're sliding, and smoke does boil from the tires.
Schrader doing a great job feeling it ill as he does, like Jerry Punch talked about earlier. And you see Rusty Wallace and Schrader sitting on the bottom of the racetrack. Already Earnhardt moving up the racetrack, but it looks like Earnhardt has found a better groove up on top of the racetrack. Well, I don't know about that. It looks like now that Wallace may have gained a couple of car lengths on Dale Earnhardt. These cars are very, very close.
One thing they will do, and we'll see it all afternoon, is search around for a groove. The fastest groove right now is on the bottom of the racetrack, but after they run a while and they start lapping traffic, have to go up on the 2nd groove, then we might see some of the front runners trying to go up there purposely.
Schrader hanging there in third position. We mentioned yesterday the fact that he wasn't feeling very well, and also mentioned that the way you feel in the race car may have a direct relationship to where you're running on the racetrack. If you're running up front and in contention for the lead, you forget about not feeling well, but then when the things are not going so well in the car, you begin to feel a little worse. Now here is the 11 car of Terry Labonte challenging the 17 of Darrell Waltrip.
And we've been watching passes all afternoon, or the first few laps of the race, first 25 laps of the race, and there's been a lot of racing, a lot of dicing going on. We saw Darrell Waltrip, and we talked about he's a thinking man's race car driver. When Labonte made the pass on him, Darrell just moved over and let Labonte go, because what's the point in getting some damage running into each other in the corner this early on in the race?
And now we go inside Michael Waltrip's car for some great shots from the in-car camera.
Of course, that's heading down into turn one. You can see the cars in front of him. That's Jimmy Spencer in the Crisco Pontiac in front of him, and Michael stays right down on the bottom of the racetrack, then drifts up next to the wall going down the backstretch, and you can see how narrow the backstretch is, and again dips right down to the inside of the track. Now Spencer goes high there for a little bit. Maybe his car is working in that position, but he seems to get through there okay.
Jimmy Spencer in his very first Winston Cup race, he is running in 15th position at the moment. Michael Waltrip in 19th. Now the leaders once again move off the fourth corner as Earnhardt has opened up a bit of an advantage, as perhaps the Wallace car got hung up behind Eddie Bierschwale. In any case, Earnhardt down with about a 5 or 6 car length advantage, but the real race for second position as Ken Schrader continues to challenge Rusty Wallace.
There's a big
At Dover, it is a Dale Earnhardt race at the moment. We're in Harry Gant's car looking out the back glass at Earnhardt. And if he passes Harry here, who is running in 8th position, there will only be 7 cars on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt is running away from everybody in the first 120 laps of this 500-lap race. Earnhardt moving to the outside and now going to the inside as they head for that third turn coming off the corner. They're side by side, and now Earnhardt begins to pull away, and Harry Gant goes a lap down, and so 7 cars now remain in the lead lap.
And he has pulled up to about a 13-second lead, which is over a half a lap ahead of Rusty Wallace, who is running in second place.
Well, Mark Martin is in 6th position at the moment after having started this race from the pole position. Dick Berggren is down with the crew chief on this car.
Well, Steve Neal, is the pace too fast? Are they running too hard today?
Well, we're in pretty good shape on that blame free car. He jumped up from the outside pole and he is driven away. So I'm going to complain that the pace is too fast because we can't keep up right now. But we're hoping we get a caution, get caught back up. We can race the 25, the 27, and them. But I'll tell you what, the free car has checked out on us.
Now, you were just looking at all your tires, Steve, going through a big yellow paper with every tire you had. What do you need to change on this car to go faster, Steve?
Well, I guess a little bit of cloud cover we got has tightened the racetrack up. We're going to put some more rear stagger and take some wind out. But the trick is we're wearing right side tires out, so probably if it stays green, we'll have to change 4 under the green. So it's a long way to go, but I'll tell you what, if that 3 keeps up, we're going to be in miserable shape.
And this morning, this team all said this is their best chance ever to win a Winston Cup stock car race.
Okay, so Neal will continue to watch his driver, Mark Martin, as Mark is in 6th position at the moment. The number 27 and 25 cars continue to run together on the racetrack. They have virtually been that way since the start of the race. Rusty Wallace in 2nd at 27, and Ken Schrader in the number 25 car is in 3rd.
For almost 100 laps, they've been in this position. Rusty Wallace in front of Ken Schrader. Schrader not able to get by, but Wallace not able to get away.
But Earnhardt is able to get away. He stretched that lead now to about 14 seconds over the 2nd and 3rd place car. Here he is now, lapping the car number 94 of Sterling Marlin.
Jerry Punch updates us from the pit area on the Dale Earnhardt situation.
Gentlemen, don't ever let it be said that sportsmanship doesn't pay off in sports. I'm standing in the Bill Elliott pit, and how does Bill Elliott have anything to do with Dale Earnhardt? Well, Bill Elliott's regular gas man, Mike Grant, who has never missed a race in the past 5 years, hurt his back late this week. Now, it got worse and worse, irrespective of medication the past couple days. He is unable to gas the car today. So Elliott said, I got to find a gas man. He went to Dale Earnhardt and Richard Childress. They volunteered to fly up their old retired gas man, Barney Boyd. And here's Barney Boyd coming out of retirement Earnhardt gas man for the past 3 or 4 years, but today he is on loan to Bill Elliott. Sportsmanship paying off again here in NASCAR.
Interesting story, Jerry. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, on the racetrack, we see that Ken Schrader has passed Rusty Wallace, and Schrader has finally been able to go into second spot. We'll take a look at it once again and how it occurred. Down the backstretch, they went into turn 3, and Schrader struck.
Yeah, Rusty looked like just slid a little bit high as he went into the turn. Schrader had made his move down to the inside, is where he's been running all afternoon, and made the pass pretty easy.
It did look awfully easy. I'm surprised that for 100 laps he couldn't get by, but it did look awfully easy.
Ken Schrader likes this racetrack. He has stated so on many occasions and says that his dirt track experience has led to his attraction. But now here comes Rusty Wallace back to battle alongside him. Rusty pulls back in line, though.
Wouldn't that be terrible if Schrader was finally getting in front and 3 laps later Rusty drive by him again?
This certainly
keep the pressure on him.
It could happen.
Certainly has been the best battle on the racetrack really since the drop of the green flag, as Earnhardt has taken off and everybody else seems to be just pacing themselves. But these two guys have provided us with the most excitement that we've seen in the first 130 laps.
Bob, there's a couple of cars coming up behind them there, Davey Allison and Neil Bonnet, who are both a lap down in car number 21 and 28. But they have run down the second and third place cars, even though they have been lapped by them. But they're coming back up on them, so they're running better since they made their pit stops.
And we go back down to the pits and Jerry Punch.
Well, gentlemen, one of the reasons Kenny Schrader's car has really come around the past couple of weeks is that they have hired, of course, Jake Elder, Suitcase Jake Elder. Now, Jake has been hired by the entire Hendrick Motorsports operation. And Jake Elder, of course, is a man who knows how to set up a car. If you look in the Folgers pit, you'll see all these guys in these red Folgers uniforms standing around. When you look over to one end of the pit over here, you'll see a guy in a pair of jeans and a headset that says simply, that is Jake Elder. Now, Jake Elder, no pretensions at all. He can set up a car, and he certainly has done so for Ken Schrader.
Most recently, of course, with the Buddy Baker team, but he was released by them a few races ago, and now finds himself with that particular team. So Schrader runs second, and Rusty Wallace runs in third position as the lead continues to be held by Dale Earnhardt. A little more than 13-second lead for Dale in the GM Goodrich Chevrolet. We've completed 133 laps on a very warm and humid Sunday afternoon. We thought there was going to be a heat problem in Phoenix. There might be, but there's also a very warm day here along the East Coast. We'll be back in just a moment.
Unscheduled pit stop back at Dover, Delaware for leader Dale Earnhardt here in lap 135. Earnhardt, who has been just slipping away from the field, suddenly comes dashing down pit road, and they had a problem with the car. Richard Childress is here with me. Richard, why the unscheduled stop? Why the unscheduled stop, RC?
Well, we thought we had a left rear tire wore out, and the car started giving up real quick. So we figured we better change lefts and not take a chance of wrecking the car the way it was running. So we just went ahead and put on a 4-tire stop. We had a good lead.
A safety precaution for Dale Earnhardt and the Goodrich crew, as Kenny Schrader will assume the lead. Bob?
And Jerry, in my opinion, Dale Earnhardt has stayed in the lead lap. He had more than a half a lap lead on Kenny Schrader, who was running second at the time. And even though they changed 4 tires, they did it in a little less than 21 seconds. So it was a very good pit stop for a 4-tire change. So Earnhardt has stayed in the lead lap. Very good move, I think, on the Richard Childress crew.
Yeah, he's about 3/4 of a lap behind the leader, Ken Schrader, now, but he is in the lead lap. So a very wise move on behalf of Dale Earnhardt.
And the pressure that he puts on the remainder of the field, Kenny Schrader, Rusty Wallace, when those guys make a pit stop, how many of them is going to gamble and just change 2 tires? Since Earnhardt has changed 4, I think everyone now has to change 4 tires.
So Ken Schrader inherits the lead from Dale Earnhardt, who makes an unscheduled pit stop on lap number 135.
And again, what a great point that Richard Childress brought up, the owner of the Dale Earnhardt automobile. He has the fastest car here by far, and if there's anything that they think might be wrong with it, why stay out there and take a chance? Bring it in, fix it, because Earnhardt is fast enough to beat them.
And they also have proven they have the fastest pit crew. Race in and race out, because they have had 4 world championships.
Exactly, Ned.
Ken Schrader, what does it take to win here at Dover Downs International Speedway?
first off, any placer in the Winston Cup Series now, it's just got to be your day as far as not having the flats and that kind of stuff. But you got to run hard here. You got to run hard all day.
Morgan Shepherd is into the wall in turn number 3, and fire breaks out behind the car. Morgan Shepherd loses it in turn number 3, bangs the wall, slides down to the inside grass, and the fire crew is right there to extinguish any flame that might be coming from that machine. It's badly damaged all around. Morgan Shepherd still in the car, and this is our first crash of the afternoon. It occurs on lap number 142. And there is the flag now that closes the pits. No one can enter the pits without a penalty as long as that red flag with the yellow X is being displayed as it is right now. Now, the pace car has not yet come onto the track, but when it does, it will pick up the leader, Ken Schrader. And at that point, when the field forms behind the pace car, then the pits will be open. You saw the number 99 car of Norm Benning come in for a stop.
But his penalty would be that he would have to go to the rear of the field. Now here we see the pace car going out on the racetrack, and while he goes out there in the field, will have to come up to him. I'll mention the fact there was some very heads-up driving by both Neil Bonnet and Davey Allison. They passed Ken Schrader before they got back to the start-finish line, got back in the lead lap. And when Dale Earnhardt pitted, we mentioned we had documented that Bill Elliott had gone a lap down. That put Elliott back in the lead lap, and so did put Terry Labonte back in the lead lap. So now we have a lot, and Harry Gant also got back in the lead lap when Earnhardt pitted. So more cars now back in the lead lap.
The field has passed the entrance to pit road, and there you can see our animation saying that the red flag is out. No one can pit.
Exactly. There's the pace car. It's going off the second corner. We see the red flag, the pace car going in the third corner. See the red gate at the entrance to pit road? When the car goes by, that gate will go away, and you can go on pit road.
That will happen in just a few moments as the pace car is now at the end of the backstretch, and the pack has been formed behind it. So the pit stops will be coming up now in just a few moments as the track crew moves on to the racetrack and cleans up the debris left by the Morgan Shepherd crash. Back into where the green has come out on lap number 223, and Dale Earnhardt has continued to assume the lead. Mark Martin runs in second spot. Just coming off our third caution period of the afternoon because of a problem that Jimmy Horton experienced when the car gave off a big puff of smoke as he entered turn number 3. And a little bit of oil laid down onto the racetrack. The crew was quick to come out and dry up the oil. Actually, that was coming off of corner number 2. And then the pits became very congested. Look at the tire that strayed from one of the teams in the middle of pit road, but the crew member was very quick to go out and get it, and there were no complications because of it.
That was from Harry Gant's car. Of course, Harry, they had the hood up on his car working on it too, trying to find what is the problem with the engine that he's lost power.
Now look at Mark Martin. He, I believe, is closing in on Earnhardt.
It looks like that Mark is going to make a race of this thing. We felt like it earlier on that Earnhardt was going to kill the competition, but I tell you, Mark Martin is as good as Earnhardt right now. He's closed up. He's only one car length behind, as we can see.
Mark Martin stalking Dale Earnhardt out of the second corner and down the backstretch.
And that $10,000 right guard halfway challenge is coming up here before too long in less than 25 laps, so both of them know that.
Here's Mark working to the inside of Earnhardt coming off the fourth corner. Again, Mark Martin has been so strong coming off the corners, and I believe he's going to get it, but Dale Earnhardt will battle back to the outside. Let's see what happens as the car comes off the second corner. They are still locked together side by side.
We saw Mark Martin's car, the back twist just a little bit. He got loose coming off the corner. And Mark, you're finding out Dale Earnhardt's not going to give you anything. You got to take it.
I don't believe he's going to take it this time. Oh, they come very close to touching if they didn't touch. Just a great battle here between Dale Earnhardt at number 3 and Mark Martin at number 6.
Mark got a good bite off the second corner that time. He pulls alongside Earnhardt going in 3, and it's again side by side.
Mark's got him this time, I believe.
Bet you.
Okay. at the line.
Oh, now you put
What?
rules in here.
Look at Earnhardt's car slide high on the racetrack, though.
Smoking those tires.
Oh, and Mark sideways.
Oh, wasn't he ever sideways? And look, here comes Schrader on the inside of Martin. He takes a spot away.
Schrader into second as Mark Martin got a little bit squirrely and bobbled coming out of corner 2, and that was all that Ken Schrader at number 25 needed to take the position. And now we'll see if Ken Schrader can close in on Dale Earnhardt, or if Mark Martin is going to be able to battle back. He's loose there in that second turn.
Yes, he is. He looks like he might have a problem because the car looked extremely loose in the middle of that corner once again.
The number 84 car is driven by Dick Trickle, and he is a lap down in 12th spot.
Ned, do you think that Mark Martin just get the car sideways a couple of times could get the tires hot and lose the grip?
Well, it could have. A year ago when they were running a softer compound, you'd say, yes, that was the situation. The tires are a little bit harder here now, but still, at the pace they're running, it doesn't take much to get you off, and it could be that he heated them up just a little bit. He's going to let it settle down there a little bit, I believe, and let his tires cool as much as they can and see if he can pull back a bump.
Now here are Ricky Rudd in 26, Darrell Waltrip in 17, and Rusty Wallace in number 27. Darrell is not on the lead lap. Number 17 car faltered at the beginning of the race, and he has fallen at least a lap down in the field. In fact, he is 3 laps down. Darrell Waltrip is. So the battle is between number 26 and number 27 for 6th position. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Barry Dotson, crew chief on the Wallace car.
There you guys have been chasing the setup all afternoon. You were dropping back before the last caution. You made some adjustments. Have you helped the car at all?
A little bit, Jerry. Right now we're just using all our options. We're not even halfway. We're changing, putting rubbers in, taking them out. Changing tire stackers. Nothing helps the thing. We'll probably leave it alone and try to have better pit stops in our front.
And what he's talking about, gentlemen, he said they're changing the wedge and they're changing the stagger. They're putting rubber in and out. That's a small rubber piece in the spring. Maybe Ned Jarrett can explain that. Ned?
Well, of course, what they put that in there for is to strengthen the spring, Jerry, and normally they'll do it on the right front to put a little bit more weight back on the left rear of the car, and it just makes the spring stronger. That's one way that they can change the ratio of a spring during a race very easy by putting a rubber in or taking one out.
Well, they've been experimenting with the car here, Ned, and Rusty apparently says, hey, guys, we keep trying. We're going to hit the connection here pretty soon. But right now, he's languishing back in there outside the top 5. Now, I want to get back to the run with Earnhardt. So they got about 260 laps to try to catch him. They got plenty of time here at Dover. Gentlemen?
Yeah, he stays in the top 10. He has fallen out of the top 5, but he's still in the top 10. Hasn't lost a lap, so don't count Rusty Wallace out of this thing if they can find the right combination. Meanwhile, it is still Dale Earnhardt leading. However, Ken Schrader has now caught him, and Schrader is within a car length.
They won't let Earnhardt rest now, will they?
Well,
it's one or the other.
You know, those first, 100 laps when Earnhardt was just so superior, and I thought maybe this was going to be a runaway, but not the case, as Earnhardt has been able to pretty much lead this race, but he has received some serious challenge from a couple of people, including Ken Schrader and Mark Martin.
He would like to have seen this thing go all the way without caution because he had the setup at the beginning of the race. Now that they've had some cautions, they've had a chance to adjust on those race cars, change the tire stagger, whatever they needed to do, and some of them have caught up to it.
Here's a battle for position as Terry Labonte and Rick Wilson move side by side. This is the battle for 5th. Labonte on the inside, and the Junior Johnson Budweiser Ford takes the position. We are 11 laps away from $10,000 to the leader, the Right Guard Halfway Challenge.
And everyone knows about this halfway challenge. Earnhardt wants a $10,000, and that 25 car, Ken Schrader wants it just as badly.
And so does Mark Martin in car number 6. Here's Dick Bergman in the pit area as we see Ken Schrader coming off the 4th corner. Dick will be with him just a moment. Let's see if Ken can take over the lead from Earnhardt. Not this time. He falls back in line. Go ahead, Dick.
Well, there's a big story here with car number 6, Mark Martin. His cool suit has just broken. What that means is he's got no circulation of water. It's going to be much hotter in Mark Martin's car than about anybody else's. Martin has radioed his crew, however, he says he can make it. Meanwhile, Steve Meal, the crew chief, is going nuts here going through tires. They have measured every tire in their inventory while he's telling me the car is running absolutely perfectly. The Ford engineer, Paul Giltanen, says they want to see a green flag for 150 laps because Earnhardt wears his tires out and they don't. There's a lot of action down here at car 6 with a broken cool suit. They say it's running right, but boy, they want it to stay green too.
Boy, just all kinds of things happening on the racetrack and in the pit area as it is Earnhardt trying to fend off the challenge of Ken Schrader and Mark Martin not too far behind. A little bit of tire smoke again from the 3 car.
Well, he is wearing his tires out. It seems a little bit faster than the others. And, of course, that tire smoke is helping to wear those tires out. But he's just driving the wheels off that thing.
Schrader on the bottom of the racetrack one more time. Take a look on the inside of Earnhardt. Down the front straightaway. Maybe.
Don't think so. Want to bet?
No, you're going to put some more restrictions on the bet so we can.
We're 6.5 laps from the halfway point. Oh, Earnhardt up a little high there coming off the second corner. Now Schrader moves alongside in 3. 2 equally matched Luminas, it would appear to me. Schrader side by side with him. Here they come down the straightaway. Still no clear-cut leader. They're going to have to look at that on videotape to determine who gets the credit for leading that lap. Now Schrader inches ahead down the backstretch, a half a car length going into turn number 3.
Look at Earnhardt come back on the outside.
Coming up on 5 laps to go to the halfway point. This is lap 245.
Well, I don't know if they've ever had a photo finish for that halfway challenge. This might be it here today.
Oh, no, contact! Man, Earnhardt saved it, though, and Schrader got the lead.
And look at Dick Trickle. Dick Trickle has passed Mark Martin. He's trying to get a lap back.
Let's replay that to show you what happened. Here comes Earnhardt back. We'll take a look at the replay first. This is how it happened going into 1.
Well, Earnhardt trying to pinch him down, but Schrader got up into him, got a little sideways. You can see the smoke coming off of their tires. Boy, that's racing.
Whew. And we're back to live now with Schrader still on the lead, coming down for lap 247 next time. 3 more laps to go, and we'll be at the halfway challenge. $10,000 to the leader. Yeah, Dick Trickle is strong in that 84 car.
He is strong.
Yeah, he's only 1 lap down, and after each restart, he has stayed right up there with the leaders. He hasn't been able to pass them to get back in the lead lap, but he is staying with them.
And Ken Schrader needs the money. This $10,000 right car challenge halfway, he needs the money because he announced last week they are expecting a child, and the due date is Christmas Day.
Nice.
So he's got to come up with all kinds of money around Christmas Day.
248 laps completed. He's got 2 more to go before the halfway point. Schrader leads Earnhardt. Mark Martin running in 3rd. One more lap and we'll be at the halfway point. $10,000, the white guard halfway challenge. Now Earnhardt perhaps is thinking about that money and going to make a race out of it. Here he comes on the outside. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I think Ken Schrader is going to get the money. I don't know. Oh, they made touch again. They came close. Schrader, I think, is going to hold him off. And he did it. Schrader.
Wow, what a run for him.
Bob Jenkins got so excited, lost his headset, folks. And look at Earnhardt. He's a lap too late.
Yep.
Earnhardt, you're a lap too late.
And here comes Trickle in the 84 car.
Look at Dick Trickle go.
Trickle trying to unlap himself.
Yeah. Ooh, but Earnhardt
cut him off.
Cut him off down on the apron of the racetrack. Trickle comes back on the inside. He has that car working great.
Boy, if this can go on for 250 more laps, we'll have some entertainment and some fun for you.
So will be wore out.
I was standing on the cord of my headset, and I almost ripped my ears.
But look at Dick Trickle pull up on the inside of Ken Schrader. His car working very well down on the inside, trying to get himself back in the lead lap.
All right, so Dale Earnhardt is now in the lead. Schrader is second, and Mark Martin is third from Dover Downs International Speedway. We'll be right back. We are back at Dover Downs in Delaware, where Dale Earnhardt has now gotten the lead. However, it was Ken Schrader in car number 25 who won the $10,000 from the right guard halfway challenge. Just go to Dick Berger.
Well, I'm with his crew chief, Dennis Conner. Well, Dennis, you got the Gillette halfway money. How about the money at the end of the race? Is this thing running well enough to win it?
Well, we'll have to wait and see what's going on at the end of the race. But the end of the race carries a little bit more weight than halfway. 10,000, that's a big prize. But the race is a bigger prize. The fight between whoever took one at that time.
Who is Schrader the most worried about? Mark Martin or Earnhardt or who?
He's probably the most worried about the car he's riding in, because you hear every squeak, every rattle, and worry about every part.
What's the oil temperature like now?
It's just pegged.
It's pegged. That means high oil temperature. They're worried, and meanwhile, the 94 Sterling Marlin is smoking on the racetrack.
Yes, he is. He's dropped down to the inside of the racetrack and is entering pit road, but this car has been smoking for the last couple of laps. Don't think it's going to bring out a caution, but Sterling Marlin's brings a Sunoco car into the pits, and Jerry Punch is there.
Well, apparently NASCAR has asked Darrell Bryan, the crew chief, to bring the car in, and Sterling Marlin will take the car and make the left-hand turn to the garage area. They've been showing a lot of smoke and some flame from the left side exhaust. They're going to try to get the car fixed and get him back out because he wants to get as many of those points as possible. We'll check out with Sterling and get back to you in just a moment. Bob?
All right. Meanwhile, it is still Earnhardt and Ken Schrader first and second at the end of 260 laps. Schrader's best finish of the 1989 season has been second at the Daytona 500. He was also second in the Winston a couple of weeks ago. But he has his hands full if he's going to challenge Dale Earnhardt, because that car has been so strong. 3 Luminas right there for you as the Earnhardt and Schrader cars pass Jeff Bodine in car number 5. Jeff is shown 16th position, 1 lap down. Now he goes 2 laps down in the field. Resume our live coverage of this Winston Cup race from Dover after these messages. Here come the pit stops. It is Dale Earnhardt coming in car number 3. Dick Bergeron is there to call the stop as Dale moves to your end, Dick.
Earnhardt's in for his pit stop. It's his irregularly scheduled stop. They go to the right side. Look at the left side. He's had contact with somebody at the left front. Cecil Gordon is taking a look at that. There goes the gas can right in front of our camera. You see how they tossed that thing to get it out of the way. Earnhardt almost stalled the engine. Not quite. He's gone. Good pit stop for Earnhardt.
Oh, I thought we were going to get a face full of gas tank.
They chuck it through the gas can right back to our cameraman. I don't know if he caught it or not, but it looked like he did.
Earnhardt stays below that white line, blending into traffic at the in the turn 2 area. Meanwhile, Ken Schrader in the 25 car has assumed the lead now, but he needs a pit stop.
He's about to come in. In fact, they're out on pit road right now. Rusty Wallace is in the pits right now. We see him getting right side tires on the Kodiak Pontiac. Good pit stop for him. He's away, and now they're going to Ken Schrader to his pits, and Dick Bergeron's there.
Well, I'm here. One of the things you think they'd be real worried about is that oil pump, because they said last time the temperature was 10, but nobody's dealing with the oil pump at all. Mark Martin is also in. Not only is his cool suit quit, but also his radio has quit. That means Martin can't tell anybody what's wrong with him, how it's going. They're going to dump some ice water on him, and that's it, and try to get him back out again.
Mark with a little bit of a hesitation there getting out of the pits, but away he goes.
Yeah, his pit stop was a good bit slower than that of Kenny Schrader. They came in almost together, but Schrader's going to be quite a bit out ahead of him, and Terry Labonte in the Budweiser Ford should be the leader now as a result of the other cars pitting in front of him. Terry's had a good run here today. He stayed right up there in the top group of cars, but here he comes into the pits along with Brett Bodine. So scheduled pit stops coming here in the Budweiser 500. Terry Labonte addresses the Junior Johnson pits. And can you see that, Dick?
No, I couldn't see Labonte, but Bodine is in. He's got his hood up. He had been just limping around here, and he has definitely got a serious problem with his car.
Well, it's a change of right side tires for Terry Labonte. And boy, that was a good pit stop.
Yes,
About 12 seconds, and he was out and away.
It did look to me like they got the car full of gas, and Richard Petty is going to get some relief.
And there is Davey Allison with helmet on, standing by, ready to jump in for Richard Petty if Richard decides to seek some relief. He is staying out there on the racetrack, just crossing the line now, but Davey Allison is right there and ready to go should Richard need him. Other pit stops being made. Dale Jarrett is along pit road. So is Alan Kulwicki. The number 5 car of Bodine still in the pits. And now we're seeing Richard Petty drop to the bottom of the racetrack, and he may be headed for pit road this time. Jerry Punch is standing by in his pits, and Jerry will throw it to you to explain what happens here.
Well, Richard Petty trying to hang on in the STP Pontiac. He's been sick all week and was extremely nauseated. He was asking for relief. They have now had Davey Allison brought to the pit, and you see they're unbuckling the king. 7-time Winston Cup champion Richard Petty, the veteran, 51 years of age, and the youngster, second-generation driver Davey Allison will get in the car. The crew, meanwhile, going about their business, changing left now, or right now, left side tires on the STP Pontiac. It is quite an endeavor as one crew member in the window trying to get Richard unhooked from the car. The car is still jacked up. Richard now climbing from the car and trying to get out the left side window. He was nauseated, he was quite sick, quite weak, and cousin Dale Inman, the crew chief, helped Richard across the wall, and now Davey Allison will climb in the car. Richard will go over and get a nice breath of fresh air and a little bit of oxygen from the emergency crew here, trying to get cooled off. A number of drivers this week have been ill here. Among those, Kenny Schrader, Richard Petty, and a few others have had an intestinal flu. This is no place to be when you're not 100%. Richard Petty certainly getting very ill in the car. As he climbs down, we'll take a break. They are still buckling Davey Allison in the car, losing a lot of time, but they have buckled him in, and he is getting ready to go.
So we're watching Davey Allison get strapped in as the STP Pontiac sits along pit road. The tires have been changed, the fuel has been put in, and as soon as Davey gets himself properly strapped into that car, Davey Allison will go into the race as Richard Petty has dropped out, obviously not feeling well.
Well, before this round of pit stop started, Richard Petty was only one lap down. As we see them start to push the car away, and Bob, he has been in there for almost 100 seconds now, so it's been a very long pit, 137 seconds as a matter of fact, so it was a very long pit stop for the STP Pontiac.
And there is the leader, Dale Earnhardt, continuing to maintain his lead in the Budweiser 200 with 310 laps completed. There's the number 27 and 11 cars as they battle for 3rd and 4th. Rusty Wallace in 27 has 3rd, and the 11 car of Terry Labonte.
That good pit stop by Terry Labonte put him right out on on Rusty Wallace's bumper, and they have had a good battle since they came back out on the track. Labonte was behind him before they went into the pits, but now it's right back with him.
This might be Labonte's best run of the year, Ned.
Could be. He's has sort of struggled with that new Ford this year. And Junior Johnson, Tim Brewer, the crew chief, and all of them have been working very hard to try to get everything figured out and making the switch from Chevrolet last year to Ford this year. But I agree. I think this might be his best run opportunity.
My only concern about it, I wonder if they got the thing full of fuel because the pit stop was so fast. I wonder if maybe they left a little bit before the thing was full of fuel.
I'd have done it.
It could hurt him before the day's over if that would be the case. There we see Alan Kulwicki trying to pass Terry Labonte. Kulwicki several laps down.
In terms of finishing positions, Terry Labonte's best of the year was his second in the Talladega 500, and he's had a couple of other top 10 finishes, but only one top 10 finish in his past 8 Dover starts. So this is certainly one of his best performances here at Dover. Dr. Jerry Punch moves from his assignment as pit reporter to physician as he is attending to Richard Petty, trying to make sure that Richard is feeling all right and trying to cool him off. So for the moment, we lose a pit reporter, but he has more important things to do as a medical doctor. Labonte has passed the number 27 car of Rusty Wallace, and so Terry moves to third. And look at Allen there. His car is running well, just several laps down.
Yes, he has run well since he came back out on the racetrack. He hasn't taken any chances. Darrell Waltrip's in the pits right now, and Dick Bergman is there.
Yeah, he sure is, and his crew chief is Jack Van, Jeff Hammond, and he's working under some duress today, too. Last night he drove a midget at one of the local racetracks and turned it head over end. So Jeff Hammond working with that Jack with a stiff neck today.
Waltrip back out of the pits, and you can see he comes out just behind the number 3 car, the leader of Dale Earnhardt.
Jeff Hammond ought to have more sense than those things anyway.
Well, he loves to drive.
So we are 316 laps into this race at Dover Downs International Speedway in Delaware. We'll be right back. Back at Dover, where Ken Schrader is about to make a move on Dale Earnhardt, or at least try to. This is first and second position. Schrader has hung right in there with Dale Earnhardt, despite the fact that Earnhardt has led most of the way. Schrader was ahead at the halfway point, then Dale went back into the lead, and now Schrader finds himself in a position after the most recent series of pit stops to challenge once again.
Yeah, he's hung in there very well all afternoon. Here he comes down on the inside. Earnhardt's car drifts up a little bit in the turns, and that's how Schrader passed him once before when he got that $10,000 at the halfway mark from the right guard halfway challenge.
It's amazing. We've been 323 miles, and still these cars are bumper to bumper like this. It's so equal. NASCAR Winston Cup racing got to be the best there is, Jenkins.
Well, you got to also give a call to the Luminas. They won their second race out. Their first, of course, was Talladega, and then they won their second race out, second points-paying race, the Coca-Cola World 600, and now here they are first and second at Dover.
You're right.
We should mention that Sterling Marlin has brought the Sunoco Oldsmobile back out on the track, although he's many laps down, but he's back out in competition after changing the rear gearing.
I talked to Richard Childress this morning. He said that the Chevrolet Lumen, he owns this number 3, the black number 3, driven by Dale Earnhardt. And he told me that these Lumens are a little more difficult than the old Monte Carlos.
Well, let's go down to Jerry Punch, who now once again becomes a pit reporter, and we'll talk with the king, Richard Petty.
Well, Richard Petty getting some oxygen here and getting something to drink. RP, are you okay?
Yeah, give me a little oxygen. I'll be ready to go again.
What happened? You just got overheated?
Yeah, it just got too hot in there, and I got hotter and hotter, and then I'd run about 10 hard laps, and then I'd rest about 10, and then I got where I couldn't even, I couldn't even run any hard laps. So finally decided we better get somebody. And then nobody fell out. It was great. It's hard to get somebody to get in the car, so they finally found Davey.
Are you going to get back in, Richard?
Well, I don't know. If Davey gets too hot, I'll probably get back in.
Well, just to show you, Richard Petty has not lost his sense of humor. One of the nurses here on pit road was taking his pulse while we were giving him some oxygen, and he reached out and started to take her pulse. So Richard Petty always smiling like the king he is.
Well, Davey Allison is in the car right now, the STP Pontiac, in relief of Richard Petty. Meanwhile, it is still a battle between Schrader and Dale Earnhardt for the lead.
And they're coming up on Neil Bonnet. Bonnet has stayed in the lead lap all afternoon long, currently running in the 9th position, but now about to go a lap down. Had a long green flag run here, fellas. It's been a while since had a caution. That's what's wrong with my mouth.
I was going to say, maybe you need those guys to get you about a half-inch mouth wrench done around one of those toolboxes. You know, we saw Jake Elder in the Folgers pit down there a moment ago, and I thought that Hendrick hired him as a Hendrick Motorsports consultant, chassis consultant. Now, Bodine and Walton's going to get mad if he does all this for Schrader.
But I think that Rick Hendrick told him, my understanding was that, hey, we want you to work on that 25 car first. They need help first. And boy, he has helped. I assume something has happened. That car is up front now and has been for the last couple of weeks.
It is performing well. It's been really the only one that has been consistently able to stay up with Earnhardt. They do lap the number 21 car of Neil Bonnet.
And certainly that's not to take anything away from Richard Broom and Dennis Conner, the folks who have been working on that 25 car all along. They've done a great job with it, but it seems that Jake Elder has helped the team.
Well, Ned, you and I had dinner last night at the same place that Neil Bonnet had dinner, and I found it rather humorous. And here's also a guy that hasn't lost his sense of humor despite some bad times this year. He was about the next to the last person in a string of people who were going to their table, and Ned said something like, you're kind of bringing up the rear, aren't you there? And Neil said, yeah, that's what I've been doing all year.
Yeah, he said, don't rub it in. But he is a great guy to be around. But there was a big crowd in the Wood Brothers and some of the Ford officials and all that down there. Here's Mark Martin moving around Rusty Wallace. After Terry Labonte passed Wallace not too long ago, Terry just drove off and left Rusty Wallace, so Rusty not running as fast as he was earlier in the race.
So Mark Martin now goes to 4th position, and Rusty Wallace drops back to 5th. We have Earnhardt and Schrader 1st and 2nd, then Labonte in 3rd, Martin in 4th, and the number 27 car of Rusty Wallace in 5th position.
And Mark Martin was some distance behind Rusty Wallace, and he chased Rusty down past him. Mark might have one of the better cars on the racetrack now, but he's about a straightaway behind these leaders. Dale Earnhardt, the black 3, and Ken Schrader in the red number 25, the Folgers Chevrolet and the Goodrich Chevrolet. Terrific race. These guys are so evenly matched. Oh, it's spin up in turn 2.
Ernie Irvin spins in turn 2 and is in the middle of the racetrack. We hope everybody avoids him. I believe they're going to. And there will be a caution flag waved right now from Harold Kinder as Ernie Irvin drives away in the number 2 car. That's just about the same area of the racetrack that he crashed in on Friday during a practice period, and the red flag is out signaling the closing of pit road. This is only our 4th caution period of the afternoon, and here's how it occurred.
Okay, you can see the white car at the top of the screen, and he just gets loose as he comes off of turn 2, and around he goes. Fortunately, there were no other cars too close to him. He slides down the middle of the racetrack, and there goes Terry Labonte by on the outside, a car going by on the inside, and so everybody gets by.
I hope Ernie wasn't looking out the driver's door. If he was, he got scared to death. Did you see all those cars coming directly at him?
They all missed him, though.
They all missed him.
So Irvin goes toward the pits, as everybody will now come toward there, at least most of the field, as the green flag is out and the pits are open. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
And the pits are filling up in a big hurry here. The front of the pack is in. Earnhardt is ahead, right at Schrader. They're both in at the same time. Let's see which one gets out. That's the key deal here. Schrader's crew says he's feeling just fine. They're both on your screen. Let's see who gets the right side done first. And once again, Earnhardt's guy does. That's David Smith carrying the jack over to the other side. Smith has the left side jacked up. Schrader's jackman just now coming around to the other side. Earnhardt with a big lead in the process of getting out of the pits first. And boy, he is gone. Earnhardt is way ahead. Jerry?
Well, Rusty Wallace, likewise, a 4-tire change for him. Also, Rick Wilson in the Kodak car. He is just now getting left side tires. Harry Labonte, the Budweiser machine, down pit road. Run is down. He's on it. Here is Dick Trickle just about getting nipped by Michael Waltrip. It is crowded here in the pits, but 4-tire routine yellow flag stops here for turn 1. Stop.
You know, Mark Martin, I got to talk about this Mark Martin situation because we saw him just a couple of laps go past Rusty Wallace. But yet when Rusty Wallace came down pit road, I looked for Mark Martin, and he was way behind. You know, and they told us a moment ago from the pits that Mark Martin didn't have a radio. So when the caution flag came out, he did not have a spotter to tell him where the trouble was. So he had to slow dramatically to keep from driving into a wreck. Rusty Wallace able to keep on going because he knew where the trouble was. It cost Mark Martin about 4 spots on the racetrack because he didn't have a radio.
Very good point. Let's take a look at our Napa race summary here. We're now at lap 236, but Dale Earnhardt, who started second, was the leader at the end of lap 320 and had led 288 of the laps. The average speed 126.409, and he had made 6 pit stops. Now the 3 caution periods accounted for a total of 16 laps. There were 6 leaders and 15 lead changes. 35 started, 27 remaining, 9 cars on the lead lap. Those out of the race include Bill Flowers, Jimmy Spencer, Morgan Shepherd, and Davey Allison. Shepherd because of the only accident. Jimmy Horton, Norm Benning, and Jeff Bodine also out of competition. Let's go down to the pits and talk with Mark Martin's crew chief.
His name is Steve Meal. And Steve, do you have any contact, any communication at all with Mark?
Well, the cool suit quit working right off the bat, so Mark got to moving his helmet around, thought he had a line pinched, and when he did that, he tore his radio line loose. So last caution, we hooked his radio back up, and I think we got the cool suit working, but at least we can talk to him. At least he's got a chance to yell at us if it's not working right. We think we're in pretty good shape. The cautions are really falling too quick for us. By the time we got ourselves set up working 50 laps into something, the flag comes out and everybody gets tires and gets caught back up, you know. So if this thing will stay green, we'll be in better shape. How good, I couldn't say.
Without the cool suit, is he frying in there? How does he feel?
He feels terrible. We keep asking him. He says, man, just don't ask me no more. I'll just check into a hospital and I'll meet you guys at Sayers Point. So the guy's awful gutsy. He's on a real good nutrition program and what have you. So if anybody can make it and beat Mark Martin, he's going to be okay.
And they're going to go green out there very shortly, Bob Jenkins.
Well, you got to think that the adrenaline takes over, especially for a driver like Mark Martin, who stands to win his first Winston Cup race. And despite the fact that it's hot, you can just grit your teeth and go for it.
Yeah, he's one of the smallest drivers on the circuit. He doesn't carry around any extra weight, and that might be helpful on a hot day. I don't know. Green flag's waving.
338 laps, and the green flag comes out once again. Now, Rusty Wallace went from 5th to 2nd because of the pit stops.
I tell you what, that crew did a super job on their pit stop, and as I said, Mark Martin went from about the 3rd or 4th place car back to 5th or 6th.
So Rusty now is on the back bumper of the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet. Schrader is 3rd behind these two guys. Rusty looking pretty good here, looking strong.
Yeah, he's running better than he was before that caution came out. A number of cars had passed him on the racetrack, but now he's right back in the thick of it. Again, he could have had a set of tires the last set that maybe were a little mismatched or something of that nature and slowed him down, but get a new set on there and it seemed like a whole new race car. Harry Gant's car is being pushed behind pit wall, the Skoal Bandit Oldsmobile number 33. He had a problem with the engine missing for a while on 7 cylinders, and now they're pushing it behind the wall.
We'll go back to Bill Elliott. The number 9 car is running in 8th position, and Jerry Punch has a comment.
Well, Bob, we were told a minute ago that Bill Elliott's crew was looking for a relief driver for Bill. It is so humid and so hot down here. You heard him talking about how Mark Martin was trying to endure, and Mark is one of the best conditioned drivers in NASCAR. He runs 5 or 6 miles a day and has a great nutrition program. Well, Bill, likewise, is in pretty good shape, but he said it's almost more than he can bear. During the last pit stop a minute ago, they took a hose and just sprayed Bill for an extra 4 or 5 seconds trying to cool him off. I just spoke with Ernie Elliott a minute ago. Ernie says, we hope Bill can make it. He seems to be feeling a little bit better now. We got a yellow flag and they got some water on him and cooled him off a bit.
Okay, so we'll watch Bill Elliott as he runs in 8th position. The lead held by Dale Earnhardt, 2nd. Rusty Wallace. We'll be back in just a moment.
With a MindLab Mental
Ernie Irvan had trouble on lap number 428, and the caution flag came out again. During the caution, Dick Trickle spun and hit the pit barrier as he attempted to come in for a stop. We return on lap number 448 under the green flag with Dale Earnhardt in the lead.
Chevrolet, driven by Dale Earnhardt, car number 3, leads the Budweiser 500 with 448 laps completed. We've got 52 more to go. 2nd place is Rusty Wallace, then Ken Schrader in 25 and Mark Martin at number 6, and Schrader has been able to take away that 3rd spot from Mark Martin. But now Mark battles back once again.
Steve Mill mentioned back in the interview some time ago, it takes a few laps for this car to get going. It's been about 15, 20 laps since the caution flag. Any time now, the car better start kicking in or they're in trouble.
Yeah, he can't afford to get too far behind, even though he might be able to pick up a 10th or 6th.
And Bill Elliott in car number 9 is being lapped lapped once again, or is about to be lapped with 50 laps to go.
Bob, after the green flag came out, Elliott jumped around Rusty Wallace, who was leading the race at that time, and jumped out to a pretty good lead over Dale Earnhardt. After Earnhardt took the lead, was about 2 seconds ahead of him, but now Earnhardt has run Elliott down. It is about to put a lap on him.
Earnhardt just so dominant throughout this afternoon. The very drop of the green flag. You just had a feeling that things hung together for Dale Earnhardt. He was going to win this race, and I think that you would have to agree that he still is the favorite at this point. But we do have 49 more laps to go, and anything can happen. The final pit stops have been made, but still a long way to go in the Budweiser 500. We'll be back right after this. Leader is Dale Earnhardt in car number 3 of the Budweiser 500 with 456 laps completed. Second place is Rusty Wallace, then Ken Schrader, Mark Martin, and Terry Labonte. There are second and third. Schrader moving in once again on Rusty, and there's the fourth place car rather of Mark Martin. So back of the leader, Earnhardt, some pretty good competition, especially for that second position, as Ken Schrader would like to have it. Closing in on the Kodiak Pontiac.
We mentioned before we went to the break that Dale Earnhardt was about to put a lap on Bill Elliott. He ran up on his back bumper, just sitting there riding. Hasn't attempted to pass him. Maybe he can't, but he just stayed right there as we watched this battle for the number 2 position.
Schrader is inside of Rusty. Here he comes off the fourth corner. He may take second away here. Rusty on the outside battling back.
Well, you don't have to make much of a little bit of a slip. Go high just a little bit, and there's somebody there to jump right under you, and that's exactly what Kenny Schrader did. When Wallace went high, Schrader jumped down there, but now Wallace hanging on up there on the outside. A little smoke coming from his tires, but he's standing on the gas.
Still no clear-cut second place at the moment, as Wallace once again drifts high. The crowd rises to its feet as Ken Schrader moves to the inside, and here comes Mark Martin to make it a 3-car battle for second spot. Rusty doing a nice job, however, of holding off both challenges.
Yes, he is, and running on the outside of the racetrack. That's as good a run as we've seen on the outside here today, but I think it will take its toll. I think he just did.
Yep, Schrader moves to second. Here comes Mark Martin to third place, and now clearly Rusty Wallace drops back to fourth.
Look how dramatically he did drop back. It's like the tire. I don't understand. It's really strange why that Rusty all of a sudden had to back out 3 or 4 car lengths. Able to keep on the outside, but
well, now he has Terry Labonte coming up on him. Yeah. But look here at Mark Martin. Maybe that thing is coming in with him, Benny, those tires.
It just might be.
Here's Mark moving to the inside of Ken Schrader in the fourth corner. We'll watch them battle as Rusty Wallace heads for pit road. As they cross the stripe, it's Schrader by a nose into turn 1. They'll go side by side again. Rusty Wallace is in the pits, but we're watching this battle for second place on the racetrack. It's a great, and they touch some smoke seen as the two get together coming off of corner number 2, and Schrader hangs on to second.
Terry Labonte sitting back there and just wondering, say, well, what in the world's going on up there? If they're going to spin out, I hope they can give me enough room to go through. Evidently, Rusty Wallace had a tire going down. That was the reason the car was drifting up in the turns a little bit and caused him to get past. He came in, they changed the right side tires. He's back out on the racetrack, but
stands
he's way behind now.
Yeah, he stands to go a lap down here before long. He's on the racetrack just ahead of Dale Earnhardt, the leader. And we didn't show you that pit stop by Rusty Wallace simply because there was just too much action on the racetrack as Mark Martin and Ken Schrader were dicing it out for second spot, and they're still involved in the great battle. And there's Terry Labonte also right there.
This is exactly what Earnhardt needs, because if these guys race for just a few more laps, victory is his unless there's some kind of problem on the racetrack.
The second place guys are about a half a straightaway behind Dale Earnhardt.
And as long as they're competing like this for that second spot, he's able just to gradually pull away from them.
Yeah, he's just sitting there riding right now while these guys are really dicing it out for the number 2 spot. Now the Ford Budweiser Ford and Terry Labonte beginning to pull in there as Martin looks at the outside.
Might he make a move on the outside in turn number 4? Let's watch him. Down the straightaway. I believe he's going to do it.
He did pull up on the outside of Schrader. They go down in 1 and no.
Oh, Mark got him, though, because maybe if Brett Bodine there, the car to the inside, Schrader had to get out of the throttle and move high on the racetrack, and that allowed Mark Martin to get second. Schrader's back to third. Terry Labonte is in fourth, and now Mark Martin sets his sights on the leader, Dale Earnhardt.
Trying to look inside of Schrader. He saw that pass on the outside. I wonder if he's look, he's trying on the outside as well, moving up on the outside of Schrader, but not able to get on the outside coming off the corner.
There's a speed of 137.3. Quite an accomplishment for as hot and humid as it is. You know that racetrack has got to be slick. Labonte's inside of Ken Schrader, looking for third position. Corner number 2, Labonte slightly ahead. Nope, Schrader hangs on. There's the race speed average, and you can see we're running at a record pace, but just slightly, 123.6.
Yeah, that long caution flag, especially after Dick Trickle hit the end of pit wall up there, pulled the average down quite a bit.
Well, we're trying to work our commercial breaks in here while there isn't really a whole lot of action on the racetrack in anticipation of a great finish of this Budweiser 500. We have Ken Schrader, who is in third position, and Terry Labonte, who is in fourth, battling for position. Labonte at number 11, Schrader at 25.
There's Labonte on the inside of Schrader coming off the second corner. They are side by side. There's Dick Trickle in front. Is he going to be able to get by before they run in the back of Trickle? Let's see.
Schrader holds a line to the outside, but Labonte on the inside is going to have to give up the fight at the moment because of Dick Trickle. Now he moves around and finds himself about 2 car lengths behind Ken Schrader, but closing in once again. Well, Dick Berggren is down in the Terry Labonte pit.
And I'm with Tim Brewer, the crew chief. You're having quite a battle with Kenny Schrader. Can you beat him?
It's going to be tough. You know, Schrader's car seems to get a little bit loose as it goes on, so hopefully we'll have a little something for him.
Well, Labonte looking for one of his best finishes of the 1989 season here this afternoon at Dover.
Indeed he is. He, of course, was a second-place finisher at the Winston 500 in Talladega, but has only one top 10 finish in the past 8 Dover starts. So he is looking very, very good here this afternoon. His second place finish was in 1984, the Delaware 500.
Mark Martin is running not quite good enough to catch Dale Earnhardt. In 10 laps, he gained almost a second, but there's only 25 laps to go, and he's 3.5 seconds down. So it looks like, by our calculations, he's going to come up about a half a second short.
Yeah, he can't, at that pace, he can't run him down unless Earnhardt slows down or he picks up.
Come on, Mark, there's 68,400 waiting on you. Catch him.
Didn't you like to see that money spent by that big company?
Yeah, I do.
When they put it up, let somebody get it.
I'm telling you. Looks like this race is kind of fading away. Schrader now has a 4 or 5 car length advantage on Terry Labonte.
There is Mark Martin in the number 6 Stroh Light Ford coming off of corner number 4, driving the wheels off the car. He has the possibility of a Winston Cup win in his sights. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
I'm standing by with Steve Mills. Steve, it took Mark a few laps to get around Kenny Schrader. Did it cost him too much on the track? Does he have enough time left to catch Earnhardt?
Well, I don't know. I figure Dale's up there just running whatever he needs to lead the race. We catch him a tenth or two every lap, but I think if it come down to it, he'd be awful hard to pass. The only thing working in our benefit is the fact that the 3 car tried to outrun the 9 and the 27, so he might have run his tires off a little bit too. It should be a good race, but it's been awful tough on Mark with that cool suit breaking so early.
Yeah, remember, folks, that Mark Martin's cool suit went away early in the show. You heard Dick Berggren report that. Well, he has been wrapped in that thick rubber cellophane suit all day, and he is worn out. But with a few laps to go, he's going to do his darndest to pedal that car up and catch Earnhardt. Bob?
Boy, he is doing his darndest. That is an understatement. He is just doing everything he possibly can to catch up to Dale Earnhardt.
But he's not gaining too much now, Bob. He's settled in there about 3 8/10 seconds behind Earnhardt and just can't seem to pick up much.
Knowing what Mark Martin, this car we're seeing on the screen right now, is going through is almost giving me goosebumps, because I know he wants to get up there so bad. You've never seen anybody in your life that wants to any worse than Mark Martin wants to win a Winston Cup race.
Our field rundown here with 25 laps remaining. We're watching the number 6 car of Mark Martin trying to catch up to Dale Earnhardt, the leader of the race. There's the number 8 car of Bobby Hillin being passed by Mark. He comes down and crosses the stripe. Now there are 482 laps completed. And there is the leader, Dale Earnhardt. He has been totally dominant in this race here this afternoon. Can he hold on to win? We'll answer the question in a few moments. You saw some action on pit road, and that's a result of Michael Waltrip apparently losing an engine and spinning down in turn number 3, and that has brought the leaders in. There are 14 laps to go in this race, and there is Michael Waltrip. We'll replay what happened as the car got at the end of the backstretch and into turn number 3.
Apparently the engine let go on the Country Time Lemonade Pontiac number 30. As he went into the turn, you see a lot of smoke, and that's not all tire smoke. He spins around, gets on his own oil and water, backs it into the wall just barely, hits it left corner there pretty good, and then starts to come back down across the racetrack. And the leaders were not too far behind him when he did this, but everybody got through. You see Ricky Rudd go by on the green car on the inside.
Another angle of it from our camera above the main grandstand here, shooting over toward turn 3.
You can see that he is in his own oil and water, spins around back into the wall. He has the brakes locked there, trying to keep the car from going back down across the racetrack, knowing that the other drivers will want to go on the inside. Now here's Bill Elliott coming out of the pits, and a break for he and Rusty Wallace, because they were in front of Dale Earnhardt, so they are in the lead lap.
They were able to cross the line ahead of Earnhardt, so both Elliott and Rusty Wallace are back in the lead lap.
But I think maybe Bill lost a lap in the pits because
he
couldn't get out of the pits.
All right, let's go down to the pits and Jerry Punch.
Well, Bill Elliott indeed. Unfortunate for Bill Elliott. He had just changed tires, and the car stalled as he was exiting the pits. The crew pushed it about 15 feet. It refired, moved ahead about another 30 feet, and stalled again. The field passed Elliott, so he has now been put 1 lap down. The pit stops here. Earnhardt came in for 4 tires, as did Mark Martin and Ken Schrader. They exited pit road just that way. Earnhardt, Martin, and Schrader. All 3 of your top cars have fresh Goodyear rubber. It should be quite a shootout, fellas.
All right, and we've got 13 laps to go right now. The pace car is still on the track. No indication that the green will come out next lap, so we're going to take another commercial break. A call here to Michael Waltrip. He had moved that car up into 8th position with a fine run before the engine let go, and he spun over in turn 3. Under caution, lap 488, only 12 more laps to go, and still the indication from Harold Kinder is we will go at least 1 more lap before getting the green. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who can update us on Bill Elliott.
Well, while we were in commercial, Bill Elliott came back down pit road, and apparently the problem is a little more serious than just the car stalling. Ernie Elliott and Dan Elliott and some of the Coors crew talking about it. They jacked the car up. Apparently the car was hung in gear. It was hung in 3rd gear. They came back in, jacked the car up, and tried to get the car into 4th gear. So they're still debating, and Bill says he's not really sure it's in 4th gear. They're going to try to wait and see. Let's go up pit road to Dick Berggren.
Well, Jerry, you had documented what was happening in the very front of the pack in terms of that last pit stop. Well, Rusty Wallace also came in on that pit stop, took 4 tires. Terry Labonte over my shoulder here came in. He took 4 tires. And Ricky Rudd took 4 tires. So we got a pile of cars out here that are all in the lead lap, all running right together, all with fresh rubber. And this is what filled this grandstand today. This is what they came to see. We are going to see a great run to the end.
Yeah, they're going to get their money's worth here in the last few laps as Earnhardt will try to hold off Mark Martin and Ken Schrader and Terry Labonte and Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace. Now, there is 1 more lap to go before we get the green. Harold Kinder waves the yellow flag and points skyward with 1 finger, indicating next time We'll go back to racing.
This is the shootout at the Dover Downs, the Monster Mile.
Well, it's 10 laps to go, sort of like the 10 laps of the Winston at Charlotte.
Oh.
Okay, let's pick winners, and we'll go to the pits first since it may get noisy before we get around. Jerry Punch, who's going to win this race?
I tell you, it's hard to pick against Dale Earnhardt in a 10-lap shootout, whether it be anything, basketball, race cars, ping pong ball counting, whatever. But I think Earnhardt, with 10 laps to go, is going to be the man to beat. We're
going to go at least one more lap before we get green. Harold Kinder now has the yellow flag raised high in the air, and he's signaling the pace car to keep him out there under caution. I believe that is the situation. Okay, Dick, who do you think?
Well, it's not who I think, it's who I'd like to see win it. I'd sure like to see Mark Martin win it. What a heroic drive he's had this afternoon, Bob Jenkins, but I don't think he's going to win it. I have to agree with Jerry Punch. I think Earnhardt's the Iron Man here this afternoon. He is tough as nails, and I think he's going to win his first at Dover.
Ned?
Yeah, I think Earnhardt's the man. He has shown so much dominance here this afternoon, and I don't think he's going to let it slip away from him here in the last 10 laps.
Okay, now we've got one more lap to go, so you got a full lap to make your prediction, Vinny.
Wow. Look, I mean, we have just had picks by 3 of the smartest people when it comes to stock car racing in the United States of America. Gee. Now, would I argue with those 3? I'll pick Martin.
Yeah, he'll argue with
Well, if you hadn't, I was going to, just to be different.
What about Kenny Schrader in that car number 25?
Yeah, possible.
Well, who are you going to pick?
I'll go with Earnhardt. But like I say, if you hadn't picked Mark, I would have.
Okay.
All right, 9 laps to go. A little less than 9, as a matter of fact. When they come down, we'll have 8 laps of green flag racing. If Dale doesn't win this race, it'll be too bad because he has been so dominant.
He has earned exactly right. He has earned the victory. There's no doubt about it.
We will know in just a few moments as we wrap up this Budweiser 500 here at Dover. Yet to come here on ESPN in about 20 minutes' time will be the U.S. Grand Prix from Phoenix, Arizona. Here they come. They stand on the throttles, and we're back to racing for 8 laps.
The drivers stand on the throttles, and the fans stand on their feet.
That's right. They all got up on their feet to see the restart and to see Dale Earnhardt slowly inch away from everybody else. Mark Martin is there in second position, and there's Ken Schrader in 25, and Terry Labonte in 11, and Ricky Rudd in 26. And there's Neil Bonnet in number 21, but he is not on the lead lap. 7 more laps to go, and Earnhardt has the lead by about 5, 6, 7 car lengths over Mark Martin.
And Rusty Wallace was inside of the Terry Labonte automobile trying to take 4th spot away. But here's the first 3.
Schrader now pretty close to Mark Martin for second position.
Bill Elliott off the pace. Apparently his car is not in 4th gear. He's off the pace quite a bit as compared to the front runners.
It's not going to be so much of a battle for the lead, I think, as it is for second position, as Schrader and Mark Martin are going to slug it out.
It looks that way because Martin not able to bring forth that power that he needs to get up to Earnhardt. He's got his work cut out for him, trying to keep Schrader behind him in the last 4 or 5 laps of this race.
If he can't win the race, Mark Martin would at least like to get his best finish of the 89 season. A second, he's been 3rd on 2 different occasions, and to equal his best performance ever in Winston Cup racing, a second-place finish at Bristol. And he is trying everything he can to hold off Ken Schrader and maintain that second position as Dale Earnhardt. There you saw him. He leads and appears to be an easy winner if things continue to go his way for the next 4 laps. This will complete 496.
4 laps. Earnhardt just in 3 or 4 laps able to pull out a 15-20 car length advantage. And look, Schrader now, he's going to try to pass Martin on the outside like Mark passed him. Kenny, the tires are a little bit too cold for that right now, don't you think, Ned?
They didn't work at this point.
Or maybe he's trying to make Martin think he's going to pass him on the outside.
A little psychology used here. 3 to go. Earnhardt leads the number 6 car of Mark Martin and the 25 car of Ken Schrader going at it for second. And here is the number 11 car of Terry Labonte. He's 4th, and the 27 car of Rusty Wallace. He is in 5th position. There's the leader. Earnhardt off the 4th corner. Next time around, he'll get the white flag. And 1 more lap to go. We've got 2 to go right now. If Dale Earnhardt wins this race, unofficially, he would go back into the points lead. But it would be very close. We'll have to calculate it. It all depends on how Darrell Waltrip is going to finish in this race. But it could be that Earnhardt will go back on top of the point standings. Here he comes off corner number 4. The white flag is out. One more lap to go for Dale Earnhardt from Kannapolis, North Carolina. There is the interval between himself and Mark Martin. And Martin, for the moment, does not have a challenge from Ken Schrader and is going to be able to maintain that second spot, it would appear. Now, less than a half lap to go. Earnhardt sets the car into turn number 3 for the final time, keeping it low on the racetrack down near that white line. He comes off of corner number 4. The fans cheer, and Dale Earnhardt has won the Budweiser 500. Terry Labonte Mark Martin finishes second, and Ken Schrader is third, with Terry Labonte fourth and Rusty Wallace in fifth. And Mark Martin draws alongside the Earnhardt car and says, nice race.
That's exactly what he said. He said, man, you are the toughest cat in the day. Now, that's for sure.
Yes, sir. He had a cover.
Wins its second race in 3 tries. Let's go to Dick Berggren.
And I'm with Kirk Shelburne. You were just talking to your driver. What'd you say to him?
He did a good job.
He did, in fact, so did you guys, too. It's been a long struggle here in Dover, hasn't it, Kirk?
Yeah, I'm glad we finally figured out how to run here. I hope we can keep it up in future races.
Well, what did you learn to let you run so strong today? I didn't think you would. Kirk Shelburne and the whole crew here is very happy. They're waiting for their driver to come on in. They're heading up to victory lane just about now.
Kirk won a race himself among some other crew chiefs at Georgetown Speedway just last Friday night. Everybody else, there are about 6 other crew members who are running some street stocks, and here come Kirk Shelburne out in a late model and just blew everybody away. Sort of set the tone for the Richard Childress team. They have won the Budweiser 500. We'll be back in a moment.
Well, I tell you, these guys, a lot of drivers out here look exhausted. You look fresh as a daisy.
Ready to go some more. You know, we warmed up yesterday with 200 miles out here in a bush race, run third in Buddy Baker's car. I couldn't wait till today. The track felt so good, and I got in this car here and practiced after that race, and everything felt real good. And I just knew it was going to be a good day. I don't know why, but the car felt good, and when the race started, everything just clicked. And you know, I'd let a couple cars go when they'd get a lap down and get tires on. You know, they're Bill and Rusty, they run pretty hard. And right at the end, when I had, 8 or 9 laps to run Mark, I put a little distance on him, and then I started being careful. I didn't want to make no mistakes or run over anything, so I run the last 3 or 4 laps there pretty easy. I seen he was catching me, but I had plenty of room.
You weren't concerned at all about that last caution flag when Mark was able to come in and Schrader and everybody get fresh rubber?
No, we got fresh rubber, too. I could run hard when I wanted to. I didn't really... All day long, I run hard, but I really didn't pressure the car. I run a pace that it was real comfortable for me in the car, and I just like to thank Goodrich and Richard Childers and all the guys. You know, everybody, they did a super job. Say hi to Kelly and Dale and Taylor and everybody back home, and we just had a good day.
He's been coming here a long time, but it's his first ever visit to Victory Lane in Dover, Delaware. Dale Earnhardt picked up his second win of the year and his first ever in Delaware. Let's go up to Dick Berggren, who's standing by with a guy who gave a gallant effort. Dick?
Boy, he sure did, Jerry Punch. And let's not say he finished second. Let's say here's another winner, Mark Martin. He's taking ice water. They're pouring ice down his back. Mark, how do you feel?
Well, I just couldn't beat Dale. You know, the Stroh's Light team did all they could do. I drove my heart out. I couldn't handle him. I was just tickled to run second, I guess.
Toward the end, Mark, you almost lost it completely coming off the 4th corner, slid down the straightaway. What a scary moment that must have been.
I did that twice in the last 20 laps. Tried so hard. I just couldn't run. I could actually run faster than Dale. After about 30 laps, I could gain him 1/10 to 2/10 a lap. But he'd be so far gone, I just couldn't do nothing. I couldn't do anything with him.
Tough to run with that cool suit wrapped around you and not working in it.
It was a whole lot worse than nothing at all.
Mark Martin finishing second here this afternoon. A very brave and gallant run at Dover.
Well, he's a very tired young man, but you can see he's a very emotional young man, too. Finishing second, but has nothing to be ashamed of. A great run by Mark Martin, who finishes second to Dale Earnhardt. Ken Schrader was third. Terry Labonte fourth. Rusty Wallace in fifth. 6th through 10th place finishers: Ricky Rudd, Neil Bonnet, Bill Elliott, Darrell Waltrip, and Phil Parsons. Now, because of that Darrell Waltrip 9th place finish, he retains the points lead by 2. Waltrip was 16-17 and Earnhardt was 16-15.
Earnhardt led for 454 of the 500 laps for his first victory ever at Dover Downs International Speedway. It was his second Winston Cup victory of the year.